If I was in the same place I was a month ago right now, like we wouldn't be able to have a conversation like this, but two, like I would not be in I wouldn't be 15 pounds lighter. Like I would not be in the same position in life that I'm in, just because
you're not harboring
they're not manifesting, harboring, always indulging in that negative, toxic mindset and feelings, because it's like they don't have to be there. Because, I mean, look, think about it like this. For a long time, I had the feeling and the attitude that you're not a good person. I don't like you as a person. And then it was just like, how could my perception and these feelings of you being so bad be like that, yet he could be positively impacting so many people's lives? And then it was, the next thing was, who am I to take my personal feelings of ill will, whatever they are,
seemingly ill-perceived or falsely perceived ill will.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I call it threatening efforts, because that's the thing. Is like, you thought my intention was literally threatening. You thought like I was coming at you and like I didn't have the best intentions for you, which was the foundation from why I was pissed the whole time to begin with, Tiana.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it was just like, okay, it's not my place to remove this person's positive experience that they're getting from you because of my own bad experience. And it's like, if the good outweighs the bad, then me shitting on it, everybody loses. So it's like, what the fuck's the point of that?
Literally.
No one wins. Literally. And I was like, I would feel like if I was in the same place I was a month ago right now, like we wouldn't be able to have a conversation like this, but two, like I wouldn't be 15 pounds lighter. Like I would not be in the same position in life that I'm in, just because
you're not harboring
they're not manifesting, harboring, always indulging in that negative, toxic mindset and feelings, because it's like they don't have to be there.
Literally.
It's move on, whatever. I mean, these type of conversations are important.
They're beyond important.
Especially with the people that you love. I mean,
right.
Down to it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't love my brother, because I do.
Tiana, that is the foundation from which my intense accountability, let's say, comes from. I look at everybody that I put in my life as literally an extension of myself. My whole thing was like, you're getting mad at everything I'm telling you because you're misinterpreting my intent. And the fuel for the just straight anger that I had that day, you know what I'm saying, was because I understood that you were misinterpreting the intent. And I was so mad. I'm like, how could my little sister really not think I don't think about her best intentions? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's refreshing for me to be able to see you take the actual good that other people are taking and not discriminating against it just because of whether the pre-held beliefs were, no matter what, they're justified. I don't want you to ever think anything I said like is unjustified. Like I don't want you to think about me saying like, Tiana, my intent was good. Like my intent was good. That's not saying that you're.
I know they're justified.
Good. Okay.
I didn't know.
Right. And I know you don't. I know you don't need no man to validate. I know you don't need no man to validate. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say
I know you don't need me to mansplain. I know you don't need no man to validate mansplain, okay?
That too.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
I mean, everybody's feelings are valid.
Right. But just because they're valid doesn't mean they're the most optimal, let's say.
And I'm not saying that in that time it was.
I was going to say, because you now realize, and I think through your actions are indicative of that. And like you said, you can't be like, I can't preach good shit to people and I can't preach healthy living to people unless I, in one way, shape, or form, am embodying it. Exactly. Pun intended.
Intended.
And you, saying what you said not too long ago, just a second ago, you knew that you couldn't hate on the good I was doing, let's say, because the proof was in the pudding, and only in hating on it will it affect you in the end.
Exactly.
It's only going to toxify. It's only going to leave a lingering toxicity in your brain and in your perception that will affect everything you see and do from that point on.
Yes, because literally before I left, it would be, I would see one of my homies train with you and I'd be like, there's no way that he can think this fool is being such a great guy. I know he has to be shitting on him or doing something. But then it was like, oh, maybe he's not.
Right. I can't remember what exact verse it is, but there's a quote in Matthew that says, it's Jesus returning to his hometown. And in his returning to his hometown, he is confronted by people. He's confronted by his family, and he's confronted by people who are familiar with him, who knew him when he was a kid and knew him when he was a child. And when he comes back, he has this aura and this reputation of being the Son of God, of being Jesus. And everybody in the town, especially his family, this is where it gets weird, because a lot of biblical scholars will be like, well, Jesus didn't have any siblings. But clearly in a lot of the ancient texts, but especially in the first two Gospels, in Mark and Matthew. So there's the aging of the Bible, just going on a quick little tangent, just because I know you can appreciate it. The aging of the Bibles, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that's the first four Gospels. It really goes Mark, Matthew, Luke, John in terms of the chronology in which they were written. So Mark is the original narrative that Jesus was introduced in. Matthew was a detailed interpretation of that rendition of Mark.
Right.
Luke, same thing with Matthew. And John, same thing with Luke. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Luke and John are a lot different than Matthew and Mark if you actually look at them in terms of, like, Jesus talks way less in Matthew and Mark. He just gives anecdotes of wisdom. Jesus is like a familiar, like always interjecting type person through his experiences in Luke and John.
Right.
So in Matthew, when he's returning to Galilee, when he's returning to his home, his family, his familiar land, these people are like, bro, Son of God, what? What are you talking about? Healing people? What are you talking about? Son of God, I've seen you literally shit your britches. How are you the perfect person? How are you Son of God? You can't be helping all these people out. Yeah. And that quote is literally Jesus, whenever they essentially, when they make it well known that they doubt the legitimacy to his holistic piety, they literally go, and they say all that stuff, they discriminate against him. Jesus tells his followers, they're like, Jesus, they don't think you're the Son of God, bro. Like, what's going on? He goes, he is seen least as a prophet in his own home. And when Jesus said that, his intention behind it was, you've seen me in that shittiest, I'm talking like apex of garbage, egoistic moment. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because you've seen that depth. It'd be easy for me, because it's the analogy I give. It's like, I've seen you poop your pants. Who are you going to give advice to people? Because I've literally seen you poop your pants. Like, you're going to give advice to people? Guys, the person that Tony Robbins just giving you advice? Yeah, well, he pooped his pants at one point. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people, that's the thing. People who aren't related or closely in Tony Robbins' circle, or whoever can act as that beacon of inspiration, they are least likely to discriminate against the actual wisdom provided in that inspiring, let's say, in that inspirational moment, because they're not inflicted by the biases of the experiences of the intimacy of knowing that individual from which that inspiration is deriving.
Yeah.
That makes sense? So you saying that, it only makes sense, Tiana. It only makes sense that you'd be like, these motherfuckers, there's no way they think he's a good person, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially seeing that most shitty side, and that being the last, let's say, facing image that the last facing, it
was the last taste I had in my mouth.
Thank you. Exactly.
Of
our relationship, literally.
And honestly, I mean, when it comes down to it, I never talked about my feelings with you guys, and
none of us did, though.
But I know. But
right.
Also, you got to think about this and really put yourself in my shoes. Growing up, I see these encounterments with people. Encounters. It's all right. I like how you were so willing to admit that. I don't think that's a word, is it? Yeah.
That's good, though. Okay. That's mindfulness.
Okay. I would, as a child growing up in a house, you see these encounters with people that seemingly are like intimate, vulnerable relationships. Like, you cry with each other, probably. You guys sleep in the same bed. Like, That's not something I was familiar with. I was familiar with me playing with my stuffed animal, creeping out the window, and waiting for you guys to come home just to be kept inside while you guys played outside type shit. You know what I'm saying?
I experienced that to a degree, so you know, too, though, right?
Yeah.
Not as severe, though, right? Just so you know, but those are the subtle things that I do intimately understand.
But we never talked about
right,
it
exactly.
as growing up.
Right. I always thought it was assumed, which was my fault.
Yeah,
right.
and
I was like,
it's all about perception.
Right. And I'm like, how do you not think I'm also little and lonely? You know what I'm saying? Like, because Morgan and Taylor and Michael, when they would trio up, I was always fucking left out. And it's like, all right. And I remember intimately being at home alone with you, being conscious, like aware of like playing and shit, and being sad because Taylor, Michael, Morgan were all at school. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there's experiences in my life.
Similar experiences, definitely.
Intimately similar experiences that allow me to empathize with that inferiority.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, like when you think about it, I mean, like your whole jumping experience, like I didn't ever get jumped, but I mean, like I went through a lot of like, I think,
social traumatic experiences,
like alienation type experiences that reflected like I felt my relationship with my siblings that were personified and portrayed with a lot of friendships I had in high school.
Right.
So I mean, like it was more like mental and emotional type experience, I think, rather than like actually getting right. But I mean,
but you have to realize this. I mean, Tiana, and again, it is what it is. I don't look at things. I try to look at things just from like truth, you know what I'm saying? Living in truth. And I think that's something that you're really starting to personify, which is why you're excelling so exponentially, because you're actually not only taking the leap of faith and living in truth and just living in the dissolution of the ego, and you know what I'm saying, really realizing that it doesn't help you out hating on me because of one shitty experience. It only helps you out reaching out to me and doing the stuff that we're doing now. You see what I'm saying? Literally only helps you out.
Yeah.
It only helps us both out. It only helps everybody out. Because then we can make this and people...
Mom is happy that all of her kids are getting along.
You know what I'm saying?
Mom will be able to see exactly.
Right.
Like,
but and that's fundamental, the best part. You know what I'm saying? But superficially, it's dope because then we can create content like this that's good for other people to learn from and be able to actually benefit from. So it's far-reaching.